Y'all, Skye Squad, listen. We got some things to talk about today. We got some things to get into today, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys caught Tamar's podcast with Nene Leakes, but it was one heck of a podcast. And the cool thing about it was so casual in the way they were having conversation, like just between two friends, that I don't even think that they were realizing that they were kind of giving us some things that maybe we hadn't heard before. Some of you guys may have, but I know that a lot of this was shocking to me. So we're going to discuss exactly what was revealed. Nene is talking about the moments that led up to her departure from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, little things that we may not have known before. Tamar is giving us a clue as to these alleged rumors about what really happened to her at the Real. It is some interesting stuff, and we're gonna definitely cover all of it right here today. Listen, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell button and join the texting community so I can send you a text message as soon as a new video drops, okay? Now let's go ahead and get down with the get down. As you guys may know, Tamar Braxton now has her podcast called Under Construction. Now, I think that this is a great idea. I don't know if you guys happened to catch Tamar on Fox Soul this past Friday on TGIF, but she was really good. And the talk space is a space that I have always felt like Tamar excels in, because I feel like she too has a natural curiosity about people, which I think that you definitely have to work in this sort of industry. But I also think that she is fairly open and she's animated and she's going to give you something to think about and remember. Okay. So that's just that. Let me just start by saying that. But the podcast is really good because it's very intimate. It's just her and maybe a guest or two or whatever. And it's awesome. I'm going to put the link for this episode down in the description down below so that you guys can listen to it afterwards. But I'm going to give you the highlights in terms of the things that we talk about here with reality television. Okay. Now, let's start off with Nene. Nene gives us the lowdown on what exactly happened in the moments leading up to her decision to leave the Real Housewives of Atlanta for good. She also goes on and touches on a couple of other different things and aspects about, how things work within the network and things that were going on behind the scenes, which we'll also touch on. But let's get into what she had to say about that fateful day when she decided that she would no longer return to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay, now, first things first, I want to establish that Nene does recognize that she felt like she left the reality television show game in terms of her stay on the Real Housewives of Atlanta a little late, okay? And I will say also as well, I felt like to a certain degree, it almost felt like she seemed kind of over it at different points as well. So I say this to say that sometimes you have to know when it's time to leave the party, okay? And what I mean by that is this. I have always held on to this belief that you should never be at a party or at a club when the lights turn on, okay? You should always leave the party or the club or the event at the apex of the event. At the height of the event is when you leave. If you at a job, I feel like, and if you're contemplating leaving, leave well before your exit slip is sent to you, okay? Leave before your time expires. And this is definitely true within the reality TV world and in the entertainment world in general, okay? She said that she was negotiating with the executives right before the girls' trip to Charleston, where the whole bachelorette party goes down, which we're gonna see in, I guess, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, okay, on the show. So she says that she was sitting in the parking lot of her Lanithia Lounge, and I'm reading from my notes. And she says that it wasn't a bad conversation. She says they walked her through her relationships with the girls. Now, this is the important part. This is her having a conversation in the negotiation with the executives. And she said that she asked herself, oh, is this what we still doing? And she felt in her head like it was just time for her to go. So she said she hung up the phone while sitting in the parking lot. She called her manager and she said, I'm just not going to do this anymore. Okay, I'm not going to do the show. And he asked if she wanted the weekend to think about it, and she realized it wasn't for her because nothing had changed. Okay, so this leads me back to last season when Nene really kind of showed up more or less during it was like at least 2 or 3 episodes before we saw her. And then she really kind of came aboard full steam once the ladies went on their trip to Toronto. It seemed as though they were going to be doing the same thing with Nene this season as well, based on the conversation that Nene has with Tamar, okay? And so what I'm figuring is that there was probably going to be some sort of shakedown with Kenya Moore, some sort of rehash of whatever happened last time to make the trip explosive. She said that they also walked her through, the new girls as well. Now, as you guys may recall, LaToya sparked a little bit of a beef with Nene before the filming even began, okay, for the Real Housewives of Atlanta latest season. You guys may recall back in July, LaToya came out and tweeted some things about Nene apparently maybe getting her aunt fired. I cannot remember the exact details about it, but she did sort of start this whole thing with Nene, and it was likely in anticipation that Nene was going to be coming back to the season, okay? So obviously this probably would have picked back up in Charleston had Nene actually shown up on the scene, okay? So she thought about it and she, made her decision. She also says that it's a corporate devil that is controlling things behind the scenes, like when she would go and do other things, when she would go participate on other types of shows. She said even in competition shows, there's usually someone who is already set to be the winner. Now, this to me isn't really shocking because I kind of understand how reality television works and how television works. But, I'm just trying to figure out who this devil is that was manipulating things behind the scenes. She says that she feels that someone in the background was tampering with her projects, with things that she wanted to do, with things that she wanted to be a part of, okay? Now, we had already heard from sources years ago that it was either allegedly Wendy Williams or Wendy Williams' people that had stopped Nene from being able to get a talk show back in the day. So I'm assuming somebody is still in the network sphere or in the executive sphere that is sort of maybe preventing her from getting the things that she feels like she should be able to get at this level in the game, okay? Nene also said that she has tried numerous times to corral the girls from Real Housewives of Atlanta behind the scenes to sort of, I guess, approach, filming the show from a less toxic standpoint. And she said that some of the girls would still go on the show and do crazy things, much to her dismay. And that she's had people tell her, well, Nene, you're going to be fine, but I still have to eat, okay? It was a fascinating listen. And it just had me thinking, well, I wonder who those people were that were saying those things to her, I still got to look out for my job, which is in effect correct. Because, one of the things that they talked about, and it has become sort of a bigger topic of discussion this year, especially this fall, is how allegedly, and this is most likely true from everybody that I've heard, is that, producers have conversations with certain cast members, but don't have certain conversations with other cast members as well. So then the ones who are in the know are the ones who are sort of controlling the narrative. And then you have your people who are a little bit easier to manipulate by production. You have people who are a little bit weaker. You have people who are going to react. You will have people who are instigating. This is how reality television works, okay? Now, let's get to Tamar, because Tamar told us something very interesting as well. She says that she heard, allegedly, okay, that it was the reason why she was let go from The Real was allegedly because someone, the powers that be, maybe at WeTV, felt like she was the star of the WeTV network and that she should not be on The Real, okay? And at the time, she said no one had any answers as to why she was let go. And they all allowed Tamar and Lonnie and all the co-hosts to battle it out on social media. And she just wonders why they didn't just come to her and say, we don't want you as the star of the network to do this show anymore. And they just let them all fight it out. Now, I have to say that, everybody involved has to own a piece of that, in terms of the fallout from it, because you can't have an argument with people who are not willing to argue, okay? So it takes two to tango, right? Okay, or at least three to line dance in this situation. But I feel like I understand, and Tamar goes into a little bit of, because people always say, well, why do you keep signing up for it? And she says that she felt like she was tricked every time she re-signed on, because she felt like they would tell her, they would allegedly tell her, it's going to be different this time. It's going to be different this time. And it's never different. Okay. So now she's pretty much against doing reality television in general at this point. So, I'm going to tell you, it was very, very insightful. It was an insightful listen if you guys are interested in how some of these shows work, like the Braxtons, Braxton Family Values, Real Housewives of Atlanta, and other shows. And it sort of gives us context as to why, the ladies have gotten to the points where they've gotten. If you listen to the podcast, which I highly suggest, it's very informative, especially with regards to Nene. It does go into a lot of the other business things that she's gotten herself involved in. And it does say something that I'm really actually happy to hear. I think that I would agree with Nene when she said that it was time for her to go, because I feel like, again, at a certain point in time, you have to leave before the party is over. And she was smart about what she did before she left, because she invested in other things in order to have multiple streams of income, which is so important these days. I think, as we have all seen, especially with regards to this pandemic. But anyway, I want to know what you guys think about all of this. I would really love to know, what your thoughts are about the Tamar situation and the Real. What your thoughts are about Nene leaving the Real Housewives of Atlanta and these new details that we found out as a result of this podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell button, and y'all know what's up. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.